Whoa, what a zoom that was. We're getting right into it. Game number 4 for today is upon us. Welcome back to the Analyst Desk. Hi, I'm Fnatic. With me are Fresh and Alfama. And we've had so far a lot of fun today, but we have one more game to close out our Super Week. Wylde go up against Fnatic, so let's just not dilly-dally and get right into Wylde. They've surprised us so far. We're looking at them as one of the teams to make it into playoffs, Leo.
And Wolves have put a stop to that Cinderella run. Ever since they had this 7-8 against BDS, then 7-1, 7-1, 2 straight wins, and then suddenly they're going against Wolf. I think the real big test after BDS, and there you could see it, they fell short. And you can expect it from such a young team.
Yeah.
Full of talent, yes, but still lacking the experience that Wolves has.
Yeah, that was going to be my main point. If you took all of the Tier 1 games that this team has played collectively, apart from Pac Ball, it really isn't many. And when that happens, you're going to see these teams deal with a little bit of nerves, deal with some inexperience, maybe some stress, now maybe some expectation that they'd won some games, and they're going to have blips. So I'm not worried about them losing yesterday. What I'm kind of challenging them is, can they get back on the horse today, basically?
Would you argue that now that they play against Fnatic, the pressure is a little bit lower because that's looking at the lower standings?
Maybe, but it's a game that they would be expected to win on form. I don't know, 50-50 on it.
Now, there are many teams in EUL, of course, that have had many roster changes, including a lot of them bringing on young gunners from the T2 scene, and Wylde is definitely one of them, and one of those players that excelled so far is Freck. Let's see a bit about him.
Another star of tomorrow could be Freck. Freck actually followed a very similar path than Layton. He grinded his way through Tier 2 for 4 years before coming to Tier 1. He had an incredible up and down story, but most importantly, made himself known in Southbridge, in Central Combine, in these big Tier 2 tournaments that Rainbow Six offers.
But Layton is in, getting the diffuser down. Freck in the perfect lurk position to pick up that kill. Layton gets off the plant because there's no cover. He's had to do it himself, and it's a 2 versus 2 into a 2 versus 0.
I think what impressed me the most about Freck actually was that he was going to get a chance in Tier 1 at the start of 2023. TT9 were going to pick him up, the roster that ultimately became ITB, and at very last minute they decided to go with Kanto and Kendrew, and you can understand why they did that. So Freck had to go back, and he went back to Team 86, he went back into Tier 2, played Combine, played Southbridge like you said, and now he's finally got his chance again with Wylde. And I think it's fair to say, Leo, he's more than taking it, and I think that's why we think that he's another potential star of the future.
100%. You can see the quality of his resilience, how important it was for him to come back to Tier 1, that his passion mattered, that he wanted to live and make a living of his dream, and that's what's happening right now with Wylde.
One of the stars of tomorrow, Freck. I can't wait to see more of these. I'm sure there will be, because there's so many players to talk about here. He's performing excellently.
Yeah, and you can see that hunger in him. Actually, the map that they lost against Wolf, Freck, I think, was the best performer in Wylde.
Yeah.
He was the one getting the entries. And I think it's overall like a global theme to have younger players like Sarks, like the new pickups in G2, like Virtus8, the fresh blood, really helps with new vision and keep hunger for the game. And that's exactly what's happening with Wylde.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Let's talk about their opponents, Fnatic, on the other side. Almost we're at it. Jack, you've been a big fan of this Fnatic squad. You've been seeing the potential of this team. That's why. I mean, you put them in your tier list yesterday. We saw how it looked like.
I did. And then I'm looking at those stats, Milosh, and I'm wondering why only Jeg's been the only player that's at an expected player score in this league. I think Fnatic started off with very, very tricky games that they comprehensively lost. But the reason that I rated them so highly in my outrageous take in the power rankings yesterday was that they have improved in performance. They should have beaten Wolves, but for 3 1v2s from P4. They should have won their last game in regulation again, but for some more clutches. They are on the right track, and they are picking up points. What I want to see them do now is I want to see them come out and win a game and absolutely slay a team, absolutely destroy a team. Don't want them to go to overtime. Don't want them to lose clutches, because they are on the right track.
And if you look at their results right now, it really backs what you're saying. Because if you look at the first match day against G2, it was a 2-7 loss, not even close. Against ITB, similar story, 3-7, a little bit closer against Wolf, and arguably they threw a 6-4 lead. They should have won that, like you said, because of the clashes of P4, they lost it, but eventually they get their first win.
Yep.
And it's very, very thin. It's 8-7 on overtime. So like you said right now, what we expect from them is finally to get a straight win, 3 points on the board. You want that as Fnatic because you want to show that you keep improving. Now, I want to say, they've been having tricky matchups. I feel like they've kind of been playing against the team when they're at their peak form every time in the season. And now they come against a Wylde that just is fresh off a really, really bad defeat against Wolf that stopped their momentum, and they really want to bounce back. It's a hard one. It's a hard matchup to get that straight win, but we can expect it from them against such an inexperienced team in Wylde.
Well, we'll have to see what map they're going to go to. Maybe there's something to figure out there and to challenge one another. We're going to go to Chalet. Oh, Leo.
Yeah, Chalet is a surprising pick for me. Let's be real here. Wylde, they've only played 3 maps this season, so it's quite hard for teams to predict what to play against them unless they've played them in scrims. Now, what surprises me the most here is that Fnatic actually had the chance to go to Club. They choose to ban it at the end and go to Chalet instead. And the reason it surprises me is that Fnatic actually has an 83% win rate at Club. It's one of the best maps. And they chose to go to Chalet, the map that Wylde, on which Wylde beat Ents 7-1. A really good map for Wylde that they've already shown. And maybe that's the reason.
I've got a hypothesis on this. I think, yes, Wylde have shown it, but I also look at Fnatic and I think they are the lowest attacking team inside of our league at the minute, 26%. So if it's a choice of Clubhouse or Chalet, which one would I rather start attack on? It's Chalet all day 100%. Long, and you've got the benefit of having seen Wylde on it in a previous game. So that makes a lot of sense to me. If you look at the maps they banned out, it was a lot of defender-sided maps, Skyscraper, Nighthaven, those kinds of maps. Get them away because they knew they'd be starting attack. And Fnatic is such a momentum-based team.
Of course, Fnatic had their day off in the league yesterday, and I know for certain that they spent the entire day scrimming, regardless of what happened. They went through their own VODs, their opponents' preparation for Wylde, getting into scrims. So there is the potential that they've really planned this out, but there's only one way to find out to get into the game itself. So let's bring up our wonderful casters, Fluke and Hap now, my friends.
I can see Hap now.
He's not blurry anymore.
Hap.
I don't know what happened.
I have a question about Hap to our analysts. Before you were like, oh, Milos opening Snowmobile. Who would you rather have do it, Milos or Hap?
That's a great question. I'm not.
Milos is not blacklisted from my rank stack, so
I'm no longer blacklisted either, Fresh. I was removed via a democratic process.
Democracy, that's how it works, right? At least in my case, I would have held a drone and at least given a call out. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyways,
all I'm saying is that Des put a
you can say whatever you want.
Drone down.
He did. I will give you that.
It was a drone.
You know what? Before this spirals into the post-EUL show, as we've gotten used to over the past few years, Fluke, Hap, please, our final game of the evening, Wylde versus Fnatic. Enjoy.
I hope we will. Thank you very much, Milos. As we go back to Chalet, we've been back-to-back and then back-to-back in maps. At least they're all very aggressive, but I'm hoping we don't have a reflection of what we had before, where our second border was slow. I want the more of what we just experienced here in Chalet.
You want more fast? Is that what you want? More fast?
I want more fast.
More speed in the game?
Yeah, I very much enjoyed the game that we had. Obviously, it pretty much went all the distance in the difference. Here, you're hoping for the same. As they sort of said, Fnatic, they got their win. They had a day off. Now they're back in against Wylde, who are playing very well, much better than obviously they were earlier on in the year. But they did that within 2 play days. So the world is their oyster at this point.
I am torn, Emmy.
Okay.
Because for a while we only had a single Dutch player in the league, and it was Deepak, and now we have 2, and they're playing against each other. And the Dutch person in me doesn't know who I want to support right now.
I guess that means the Netherlands will win regardless.
We will win regardless. We'll get 3 points no matter what.
So life is tough.
This is one of the Dutch players.
That's not.
No, that's not. I actually spoke with Starks a little bit beforehand. because Tristan was so kind to ignore me on Twitter.
Call him out.
Yeah, I did. So I was trying to get some information out. And at the end, I was actually trying to get a quote out of him I could use for like against Wylde, and all he said is, "I wish Wylde a really good game, and I hope that they have fun." And I'm like, man, that's too wholesome. I wanted to have a shit post to go at, but no, didn't get that. Just a wholesome message.
Okie dokie, we find ourselves falling in, and Fnatic, they are kind of more eyes on right now because they've been underperforming, and that's always that extra bout of pressure. But in that fun sort of swing of how statistics will play out, if they get a full fat win, their first of this split right now, they jump up to 6th place, push Virtus Pro down into the not making close playoffs, and that is a very unexpected result, I think, from how they were after the first couple of playdays.
Yeah, for sure, and of course that is going to be their goal. Fnatic, they believe that they have what it takes to make it to the major for this stage. And if you're looking at the standings now, you'd be like, you're last currently, but Starks is starting it off well. Takes down Croxon. Now he's going to be opening up the opportunity to put up a bit of a foot into Library. However, Freck's still around there, instantly challenging down on the window below. Drone is going through, but he hasn't actually checked the hatch above. So if Sarks decides to go for a jump in, because this drone is only showing clear feeds for now, it is Freck that is just a second too late, and Sarks able to sneak by, has a clue of what just happened.
Well, we wanted things to get off quickly, and they already are. The pressure's coming around on towards Leighton, potentially. Hits the side of a grenade, but it's going to hold on for just a second. There's not a lot of wiggle room. And in fact, it's about to be swung into where Leon is. Great grenade throw. Over towards the top. Freck is down. There's the pick back up on Leon. Oh, there's the second Leighton. I said he was surrounded, and he's set by dead men. Now Sark's getting one on the back end. Packball's able to level it out at 2 versus 2. They still have some of the vertical control, and they're aware of some of the danger. There's going to be a depth charge of a C4. Dropped and hoping to get the pick back up as the kit is picked back up. But where do you plant? Because you do not have the vertical control. They would be able to get a very quick response on it. They're concerned about the hatch itself. They're just going to try and tuck, but as soon as they do, you can expect a bit of pressure to come through because they just don't have that control. They almost have to fight their way up. The clever use of the smoke caster makes things awkward. Planting in the slightly off the position place has netted them the result.
Yeah, smart usage there of these smoke bolts to stop any fuse to coming from the actual hatch itself. They were trying to fish for any information, trying to open up as much vertically as they could. Even use the Zoto canister to make sure no one was coming up on the staircase in the meantime. But it all allowed the plant to go through in the hands of Fnatic. And now they're basically holding a crossfire, one on either side. Deepak gets one before he gets shut down, but they have Sarks on the opposite side to lock off that kill. So that's round number 1 for Fnatic.
Okay, find the tuck in, find the position of play. There was a couple of missed moments and obviously a huge drive from Leighton round on the back end, but not quite enough to stop it otherwise. Fnatic get themselves off to a decent start. There's a horrifying statistic I've quoted across the maps today. Whoever wins the first round has lost the whole match. That has come true 3 of 3 times. Can Fnatic break their own curse and the curse of today at the end of Super Week?
Maybe Wylde was listening and they were like, you know what? Seems to be working out, so let's just not win this first round. Just, you know, to have those statistics on our side. Obviously not what happened, but...
I mean, you never know.
It's a discussion point before.
Listen, everybody has their lucky talismans, right? Everybody has their rabbit's feet.
I don't have one of those, no.
No. They're 4-leaf clovers.
I don't think I have those either. Oh, spot peek.
Oh!
Wrong way.
They have Freck, that's for sure. Sarks gets the take there on towards the watch, climbed up the big rock and rocked Freck out of the round. The Bandit ready to play against the Trick here. Bit late that, unfortunately. Leighton wasn't quite able to make the connection with the wall, and the wall will fall. Bit of a blow. The wall usually gets open, but you want to try and play with some utility if you're in that position.
It's a bit of a double sweep here against Wylde, like losing Frack dead early on and the wall being opened up without being able to actually get any pressure down. In the meantime, someone's already established himself inside the trench as well, so as soon as people start falling back... Oh, that's unfortunate. As soon as people start falling back, as Packbull will find one, Leighton gets for a second, and this is all we have, just the mute screen together. Wait, there we go.
We get a cool little flyby and we're back in, but most people have left, unfortunately, in that time. The pressure is coming onto the back of Blue here. You can see that they've got themselves close towards the default plant spot, but without the kit, there's not much else that you can do with it. So instead, see if you can force some motion. What do they know? Do they know that they've stopped the plant being confirmed? The slow and steady rotate gives Croc the confidence that maybe nobody is watching from outside the breach. And Deepak knows he's being watched from the far side. It looks like a pretty big rotate has gone. There it is. Sarks found himself towards it. They've now got Crocs in a little bit of a cheeky place. But without him giving up the game, with all this time, they've still got to try and find some motion. Everybody is banking on getting this, the first engagement. The blind comes out, the pressure's in. There has to be some support from Leighton round on the back, and he makes it count, gets himself one, but there's Sarks round on the corner. Leighton versus Sarks. Two new bloods towards the tournament. The rip of a C4 is a terrifying sound to hit. Goes for the plant, pops back up with Leighton, having a monster round.
And talking about monster round so far, Sarks as well has been absolutely stepping up. I think he's 6-on-1 now or something like that. He's definitely been putting in some weight in these first two rounds. But Leighton saving it. What was that? 4 kills for him in that one? Maybe 3. Either way, a monster round to come through. As you just mentioned, Wylde able to secure that second round, put themselves up equal after the unfortunate early loss of both the wall and Freck, which definitely doesn't help your intentions of winning that round. And then we didn't really see what happened afterwards, so there's little to analyze. So it's like we came back in a 2v2.
One apiece. Wylde able to pull it out, and you know, it's as you said, two players have kind of dominated these opening 2 rounds, really. Leighton almost pulled it back in the first round, smashed it in the second. And that's kind of what you want, what you expect. New blood, great players getting that stretch of their legs in a showdown of 2 teams that's built around it. Obviously, there's a lot of names that have been in the scene for a long time. Wylde have had more drastic changes than Fnatic, pretty much swapping out the whole roster.
Multiple times.
Multiple times. Like trying on new pairs of shoes and seeing what the best fit is for the ball.
I mean, sometimes you have to until you find out that recipe for success, and they definitely seem to have a roster now that's in a lot of a better spot, especially compared to stage 1. You know, the finding points, they're being competitive at least, so that's a very important factor here. As tons of flashbangs come through, but there you go, Sarks taken out on the strafe from the Wamai there. And now a big impact player from Fnatic gone.
Breaching sequence activated.
Is they're trying to get that next bit of momentum. Oh, a spray through. It's an expected fight to happen. The drop on the next Selma, I don't think makes the connection because they're worried about getting caught out. Instead, Freck drips down as Leon and Zoo find one apiece.
Yeah, and it's just a bit calm now. Like, they're trying to drone out on the side of Fnatic. Do they really have any control? I don't think so. I mean, someone's down in the garage. Freck waiting around for the person that's on the main door, and I believe Deepak was outside of the actual window for games. It's going to be a bit of a scrappy ending out here as they're trying to scavenge and get themselves through to actually get a kill and to get a bit of an opening somewhere. Because anywhere where there is at least a player of Fnatic, there is 1 or 2 watching it for the side of Wylde. Kent and Deepak trying to work together here to take the top floor under control, but there you have it. Instantly, Frag to respond on the proximity alarm. Deepak falling back as well. Jack still down below. He's quite close to the actual site itself. The opening on the Selma makes Pantry somewhat unplayable, but these vertical holes do make him worried about where they could be coming from.
30 seconds or so left here, and it's not impossible, but Fnatic, they're trying to play with 2 stories of ground as Croc is down not too far away, pre-firing the angle, hoping to get one more of a catch. They're almost using the body as bait, but Leighton doesn't need to fish with it. Finds another for his already terrifying tally. And Deepak is left.
15 seconds to go.
15 seconds and a bit of a dream to try and get in and get a cut, but it's already in place. Leighton, a huge game, and it's only 3 rounds deep. Can he keep this pace up?
That's kind of what we were thinking as well, right? Like the 3 new rookie players that Wylde have picked up that basically have 0 tier 1 experience have been a carrying force for their winning games. And you know, that is Frag, that is Leighton, and that's also Croc, who have been doing absolutely amazingly. And Leighton especially now, he's really laying it in. I think he's finding himself on like, what is it, 8 kills at the end of this round, 9 kills? It's only been 3 rounds. Like if he continues this, and it, you know, I'm just talking hypotheticals here, and we do go to max OT. This could be one of those games where he gets close to 20. Or at least high in the 10s. But we do need the rounds for that. We cannot have this become like a 7-1, 7-2, because then it becomes a bit hard.
It's true.
Well, it's just how it is.
That's how it goes.
It's so often when like a player's on an absolute heater and you're like, if only this game took longer, he would have the kill record on this like best of 3, best of 5, best of 1. But then they end so quickly, so. Hey, you know how long the best of 1 kill record is standing already, Emmy?
How long, Hap?
2019. It hasn't been done since.
Wow.
It's OGA Pit and from Palu and Onigiri during SI.
Yeah. We casted.
Like, what was it? 14 different weapons at that point.
We
casted the Onigiri game.
Yeah, we definitely did that one. I
did the Palu one with Sternab.
You did the Palu one with Sternab?
Yeah. I was casting with Sternab during OGA.
Fresh, if you're listening, would you rather have open your your snowmobile, Milos, Sternab, or Hap?
I think Sternab wins that one.
You never know. We're just having a brief technical pause. Hope we'll be back in the game sooner rather than later. I'm sure Leighton's sort of begging us to get back in at this point. 8-1.
He's definitely on fire. Like, he doesn't want to slow down now.
No, I mean, it's impressive. You've obviously got them and Packball sitting on 100% cost as well. So they've had that dedication every single round. It's early. It's a statistic that gets wider the longer you play, obviously, but still impressive to be driving so much of this force. And Deepak was able to sort of keep pace at this point, but really, the game itself is a bit of a one-man show currently. This will cool down that one man as maybe the hope. Well, the hope of nobody, actually. Nobody's forcing this.
Next thing we know, he just has a laptop ready next to him with the aim, like the shooting range. Just hopping over to stay warm.
Yeah. Keys for a ranked game.
Plays both at the same time. Accidental comms in the wrong game, you know, that happens. Oh. But yeah, I mean, it's Wylde taking the lead for now. And if I'm looking at their attacks have been pretty good for a while. 50%-ish, so like 52 if I'm being correct. So the more rounds they pick up now, I mean, the easier of a time they should be having as soon as the side swap comes through. I mean, it is kind of logical when you look at it that way, but more of a, they usually don't really struggle that much. whereas Fnatic do. Fresh mentioned it on the desk. Lowest attacking win percentage out of the entire league so far.
Bomb located by attack.
We're back
It's
in.
only barely, like by 0.6%, but still.
Yeah, it's close. We're back in. Wylde, they've been able to pull themselves back from what was a very sharp first round from Fnatic. Since then, things have gone a little bit awry, but we're back on the site where magic happened. And to be fair, that first round wasn't a million miles away. It was a 2 versus 2. Wylde still had the vertical control. It was a little bit of clever play from Fnatic with the coverage of the smoke and not planting on the default spot, and just in a position where you wouldn't expect to spray through, but netted them the plant, and then from then the pressure was on their side. But we could be, or could have been, looking down a 3-0 right now. Something Fnatic will be well aware of. They've got to try and rest around and put all the confidence behind it, because it's close, but close isn't winning them right now, and the team can build behind the momentum that Leighton is driving through. There's Jags getting Frack. Getting the first kill. Again.
Yeah. I think there's 3 entry kills now coming through for the side of Fnatic onto Wylde. Frack being the one caught twice. It's not that it's really stopped Wylde too much, though. Especially considering Leighton is absolutely on fire, as you just mentioned. But of course, a bit of a technical break. And then you start wondering, is it still going to be the case, or has he slowed down, cooled down just a little bit?
Deploying shock drone.
Slow and steady. Getting the, I was about to say preparation work done undeterred, but very much deterred as just a quick visit to the outside of the map to see if anybody would suffer the side of the bullets. They don't quite get the kill, but they do enough to say, look, we're still active. We're still putting pressure on. And I think Fnatic, they're just trying to see where they can circle round. Wylde have a slightly different hold. They still have the vertical control, but definitely keener awareness towards anyone that might try and slip their way in, where the site sort of fell because of those exchanges. Fnatic, you'd be surprised if they can drive the same bargain.
You know, Dodo doesn't get the kill, but at least he is making them uncomfortable. It's like you cannot really sit still for too long, or you're going to find yourself caught up by someone who's rotating around. Because in the meantime, the breaches are happening on the actual kitchen wall. The pressure is coming in to the above side. Leighton, however, still out there with the SMG. Sarks will find the kill onto Packball. That opens up the site, really. So that's going to be forcing a lot more onto these vertical elements here, as a smoke gets popped. Could even result into, well, a potential plant attempt to be made.
Well, there's a watch on a default plant, and there's...
Pull the trigger.
Oh no! I guess we have the benefit of being able to see through the smoke, but unfortunately they don't! Leighton could have got the kill onto the first, and I mean, he's done more than enough, but Fnatic did more than enough that round. Piece by piece, they pulled things apart instead of throwing themselves in on towards the west main entrance like they did the last time they were there. They slowed things down. They looked for these engagements and took it apart, part by part.
The yellow ping actually lost him the gunfight there. He was so perfectly centered on the planter. If all they did was he's planting and he pulled the trigger, that would have been the kill to come through. Of course, it was still like a 1v4 after that, or a 1v3 that he would have to play out. So it's quite difficult, but at least the defuse will be down. Look at this. He's just right on it, and then the ping comes in just slightly off. And it, like, again, it would have been a 1v4 at that point, but at least the diffuser would be down. Just small things. But 2-2, Fnatic, they find themselves that second round. Again, the weakest attacking team in the league, so the more they get, the easier they should feel. And as mentioned on the desk, they thrive with that momentum. So if they do manage to get going now, if they do manage to get 1 or 2 more rounds, they might be able to roll through that on the defense as well.
Can they do it?
Especially these early shutdowns of the spawn peaks are very well done.
Can they do it on a different side? Can they try and make magic happen elsewhere? We'll turn into a bit of a question now. Obviously, if they had had the kit with them earlier, without Sarks having to do a huge rotate, they would have probably been in a much better situation. Obviously, it came out to a 1 versus 1. As tight as you like between the two titans of this map so far. but with Sox getting that opener once again. That is 3 of 4 of their opening kills going to his favor, and 4 of 5 of the rounds being Fnatic's.
And it's not like he's playing entry frag operators, right? He's like playing Nomad, he's playing Ram. He's just playing everything that they, you know, kind of need at that moment. Hibana, even in one of the rounds, he managed to get the entry kill in. So he's just like the Joker. They put him on whatever they need as he gets his 2nd kill of the round.
I mean, what a perfect sort of response. We said that it was sort of turning into this brawl between 2 huge talisman players that are leading the team in this engagement, and here's the other. Later, hoping to try and find a response kill. He's not deep in enemy territory, but he's not far away from a skirmish. And if he goes untested, he might be able to get a bit of a response. The eyes are focused on Freck, and Freck is unfortunately in the eyes of Sox. That's 3 for the new pickup. And Leighton again looks for opportunity, looks for a potential gap in the control here. He's underneath the hatch. He's in a dangerous area. He's not quite been able to net a kill, but when he does or finds the first, he's got to be quiet about it. There's Leon caught out. Quick rotate. You see above the hatch. You see on blue stairs. There's the above the hatch. They're going to go for the fight at the same time, and that was everything they needed to do.
Beautiful round so far from Fnatic. Just aware of the fact that it was a heavy roam going on as Jax cleans up the final player, but aware that there was like 2 or 3 people on the roam, able to shut them down as well. I mean, it was basically just Sarks trying to open up the flooring, finding one under the double window, and then being swung at from the office, finding both those kills. Of course, a 3rd one afterwards as well. But well played into the gap that was created by Sarks in that case. So Fnatic were able to, well, see the opening they were given and really benefited that. And this is one of those rounds where, as Wylde, you might be like, what were we doing wrong? Like, they were just losing the gunfights, and he wasn't even being damaged in any of those. The only damage he took was from a goo mine.
Fnatic pull ahead. Fnatic pull themselves one step closer. This was a brawl before, and I said I wanted that to continue, but it's a very different dynamic. Where again, we still have 2 players leading towards that. +6 on Leighton, a +7 on Sarks now. He's just been able to slip himself slightly further, slightly deeper into the game. If Fnatic can secure themselves here, the 4-2-half, secure themselves that buffer that they can play with. It's the translation almost perfectly of the opening stat, the opening trade.
And of course, you still need to like bring home the game after that. I mean, we saw it in the VP ITB game yesterday when they were 4-2 up ITB on the side swap, and then weren't able to win a single round anymore from there on. Of course, things are changing. Fnatic is now on the attack rather than on the defense. They're also on a different map completely. And in general, defense is just a little bit easier to pull off than the attack. Dodo, stuck in library. Flashbangs coming through. Is forced to fall back through the hatch. Is there someone waiting for him there is a big question. Well, C4 was waiting for Deepak, who is taking him down. It's Capitao gone. A lot of utility that goes with that. Think of those smoke bolts. Think of those incendiary bolts, but also the heart breach gadgets potentially out there.
First time in a while, it's got into the favor and away from Fnatic. What can they do without the Capitao? What can they do without Deepak, who was one of the last remaining, if not the last remaining, last time they were on this site? In fact, he wasn't quite able to convert it, but sort of shows the difference of dynamic if that backline player is now forced to try and get the push here on towards the start. The Selma is being pinged out, but the lockdown from behind, Leon gets packable as well. Perfectly played. They drew all the attention there on towards the Selma and then struck, but Starks being knocked to the side is going to make things a little bit trickier for a team that I'm not going to say have depended on them, but, well, anyone would. There's 2. But I do. As Jax is caught out as well.
You're left with two, both in completely different directions, recuperating now towards the actual library to see if a push can happen from there on. However, as you can see, Wylde pretty much fully aware of this. They are on the catwalk, they're on the blue stairs, actually in the little closet right next to it. So as soon as a repel swing comes through, or as soon as someone jumps into that window, you can only expect a double swing to come in. So instead, going back down, recovering that diffuser, and heading in from the side entrance. Kento coming in from below. They're going to check if there's an alternative way in to maybe see if they can get a plan down by taking the side by storm. But with 20 seconds, it's going to be quite hard.
15 seconds.
Well, Leon's able to get one, but Leighton shutting down the entrance. Leaves Leon in a triple, but unfortunately probably not enough time to truly formulate there. An extra 5-10 seconds might have been a difference maker of just how to approach that final kill, that final stress. We find ourselves once again today on the other side of an even half. I'm going to say it's been the entire path of the course, but we keep going.
To the side swap we go. And this is now like, Wylde have been very balanced in their attack and their defense. Of course, the defense was higher graded than their attack, but Fnatic, their attack was not as strong. Their defense is, you know, about average, like 3 rounds per game is what you're gonna have to go for, which will be enough for a point here at least. That gives them the opportunity to potentially fight for those 3 as well. But I think that these next 1 or 2 rounds are going to be very crucial to Fnatic. If they manage to find this very first right away, it's of course going to be a bit of a confidence booster, because that at least puts you onto a possibility for 5 quite easily, especially if this one goes without too much hassle. If you manage to find 2, well, then the recipe is there to find a victory in regulation without too much worry. Well, looking to take a bit of control of the library first, at least the area around it. And it's logical. You wanna approach this horizontally as well. Big opening actually made in that wall already with the Selmas. It's gonna be putting a big dent in the actual site.
Oh, I don't even know if that was a Selma or if it was just an opening. It looked like the wall might have been reinforced. No,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just
it was
an
an
opening.
opening,
Yeah, they've decided to play with. They've obviously got all of the Ivy side locked, with focus down towards blue, with a bit of a shield to hide behind. So they're sort of, you know, flirting with the danger of that position, makes it a bit harder to play out on the balcony itself, might make it a bit harder to approach up the main stairs if you're not quite aware already for the fight, if you think about sort of comparisons, but the focus is pretty direct here, all the way across piano. Cacophony of noise, but they can't quite get the kill. In fact, it's Leon and Croc that get 1 apiece either side. Leon doubles down, and he just keeps going. Apparently, finds his 3rd inside the site. He's tugged around behind the quarter wall. He's on the default plant spot. They have the control still of any of the territory underneath. He's really on the pressure. Wylde tried to smash their way through onto the bedroom side, but that position that Leon had is just a backline firing across.
Oh, they know where he is now, but it's the half wall. It's very, very hard to actually challenge. Needs to stand up at the right time, and as he's holding it, actually finds yet another kill. That's a quad. On for the ace now. Only needs to find Dodo.
There's the spray through, the keen awareness, but at this point, you're drifting in the middle of a very dangerous spot. Ooh, does get revenge onto Leon, who torn up most of the opposing force and faction, but at this point, what else is going to be offered? It's all revealed on the bulletproof as well.
Recovered the bomb diffuser.
Kind of just playing with fire now.
I felt like Fnatic was kind of trying to give that ace to Leon. They all kind of fell back. They were all holding their ground, not trying to go for any push. Dodo with the diffuser in hand is going to take some fights from Deepak, and that is going to be the nail on the coffin as well for that round, locking it off Again, putting Fnatic in the lead off that round. Leon with a huge round there. 4 kills from just that half-full area. Of course, not something you can rely on, but this is what I meant. Like, if you manage to win one of those rounds with, well, relative ease, that means your site really hasn't been tested that well, which means that the next time you're going back there, like, it is still very likely that you're just able to catch them by surprise, as they haven't really gone through all the intricacies.
I mean, Leon getting the quad kill there, and credit to Dodo, tried to find the fight of the way out there, but at that point, when you're on the bulletproof in the middle of all of their players, unfortunately, it'd probably go the way of the namesake. What a 3. Fnatic. They crawl their way back through. Wylde tried to be a little bit explosive, didn't quite work, but it's the perfect time to try it in the first round instead. Go down to the basement. Maverick is going to be their breakthrough. Not going to try and play against the wall, but to be honest, there's nothing to really play against here. You've got a mute to deny it, sure, but you're not really going to get too much of a slow out of that. There's nothing to catch anything that gets rolled through. It's kind of just sort of big dedication onto the confirmation of getting that opened.
Might also be of opening up like some angles into the wall that you want for challenging, rather than actually, you know, walking through, and making sure that they're quite limited, because it's just harder to see if there's anybody on the opposite side and stuff like that. And you can also do these for a repel distance, which this could be, but instead he's just gonna make it soft and then probably remove it that way. You know, there's lots of things you can do with Maverick. Also love it that, you know, a castle barricade. You can just make that tiny hole. The castle barricade still stands, but you can still loop through.
You won't hear a thing.
Not that there's a castle, but there you go. Little holes.
Well, Croc puts some little holes in Kanto.
That's one big hole.
They have the line across. They have all those angles to play with. They make that wall a threat rather than rotate, as you said. But it's the danger of it that means that the space Fnatic can play in gets thinner and thinner. They're still in these positions, and as this, you know, everyone expects that wall to turn into a danger. Maybe they're hoping it not being so visual is something that they'll accidentally drift into the way of. A good swing round there. Leon gets 2, but cannot quite find the next. The shotgun pops in. Crocs tries to move into the space that was created. Keep the momentum going. It's a 3 versus 3, but they've slipped their way on by and a bit too brash. Sox gets 1. Dodo gets another. Back and forth. There's generally still a lot of time here to play with. That drone was instantly caught out, and as the flashes get pushed, it's all still on the bulletproof that's just revealing everything. They're trying to get it through the wall. Clever play, and they do get the pop, but at what point do they feel confident to try and get the plant? Think about where it is and where it's going down. What can you cover here? They rotate on the side of blue. They're off. They're not safe. They're definitely not safe. Jags picks up the kill, and now Dodo. There's a big, big gap to cover.
I saw an opportunity when Leon went down and decided to just basically push on with it, even though Leon already kind of completely hammered the entrance shutdown there. Dodo now trying to go for the plant. Might actually get away with this. Second left. There you go. 45 counting down. A Nitrous Cell denied as he gets the kill. Back to a one-on-one as he does a lot of damage to Starks, but Starks a little bit more to him. And Starks already through all the way as he gets the down and the confirm. And as a result, with the execution to come in, Fnatic will find themselves at a 5-3 scoreline. A quick smiley just for good measure.
I like how you could tell it was a smiley just from the
movement, yeah.
You know it.
Just the
Oh no, it's a sad face.
Well, it's still an emoticon. Let's put it like
It's still an yeah. I mean, credit to Dodo for trying to find the best of a bad situation. The 1 versus 2, and as I said, it's a horrifying distance to have to cover. They literally have to pass both sites to get towards that kit, get it planted, gets the swing round. Almost pulled back, an impossible situation. But unfortunately for them.
Now, Wylde have called a timeout on the back of this, as things are starting to slip away. And you can understand why. It is currently 5-3, which means that, you know, there's still full points on the table. It's not like any of them have been lost whatsoever. But you do need to start getting these rounds now. And, you know, round 7, you get 4 kills from Leon, who shuts you down from like the same 2-3 square meters of the map. Round 8, Leon stops this rush that they were trying to attempt initially. They still decide to push on afterwards, find themselves in a 2-on-2, and eventually lose out on the post plans 1v1. Again, it was a beautiful, like, quick swing to go through. Yeah, and I mean, that's painful. I mean, he was so quick on that nitro cell thrower, shutting him down, and he was like a bullet away from getting the final kill, final hit on Sarks. And it's such an important round as well. And, you know, it just hurts, especially when you're like 11-on-5. That's where you find yourself.
It's how close it gets. It's how close to the wire it was. Again, did brilliant.
10 seconds to insertion.
And then
He almost won an unwinnable situation.
5
Like,
seconds
yeah,
to insertion.
exactly. So,
Attackers are moving
5-3. Now, the last time we had a tactical timeout this game, Fnatic bounced back with a flawless round.
Shiba deployed. Circuit secured. Activate jammer. Deploying mobile cover. Swapping mag.
so Yvonne can do that as well. Bit of an opening being made. Again, all prep work. They just want to have all the windows around the site open. They do have the Monty. Could be a huge help. Could be a big game changer here. You already see the drop down, though, from Deepak. He's going to play in Pantry, not wanting to stick around. Are they aware of the Monty already, though? As the Capital Bolt is being used to clear out the library, Kento, however, still behind on these Kiba barriers playing inside. So as soon as any real pressure comes through, he is in a great position to try and challenge.
With the roll ready. There it is, the light screen, the quick pop through, the play of the EMP just to stop anything. The Monty keeps driving with Kanto getting the first. Oh, in fact, the Blitz is there already as well around the back. Gets the blind, and there's the 2 shields, but it's hard to say whether it quite worked or not. It's a 1 versus 2. Sucks. All that's left, but there is one of the 2 shields still standing. Now, Crocs rotates out of there. They have the time, they have the gadgetry and the utility to try and maybe piece together where the player is. He's just slipped his way on by. He's got some pings he's working on. He's trying to draw a further out fight. He does not want to get within arm's length over that blitz. 2 goo mines in pocket, a post plant. Couldn't quite swing his way around to the fight. He's covering the escape, but Finka exceptionally low, alive potentially just because of their gadget and ability.
Defender exposed.
Oh, didn't quite know where they were. Great play there. It's a bit of hushed silence, but not enough, unfortunately.
And with that, they instantly bounce back on the back of that tactical timeout. Find themselves around. It was basically a bit of a quick push to come through, sending in the Blitz, sending in the Monty, together with the light screen of Sense, just to try and stall things out. But as you mentioned, it didn't really work as planned. It was a 1v2 in the end, still in favor of Wylde, so still able to put the diffuser down. However, there was no vertical control. If that was known by the side of Fnatic, Sarks could have moved up, could have actually held the diffuser from the hatch, and the Blitz would have to move so far around. Yeah, it's a shame there was no Mew Gemmer around that corner, because that would have actually stopped that flash from happening. Good cast on Panic. Beautiful shot. 5-4. Not going to be bringing a lot of other shields this round. I think actually no, the Blitz is back on the menu here for Leighton. The Jackal being brought as well. Could be more of a bit of a roam clear, see if they can clear the opposite side of the map quite effectively, so they have the man advantage later on to actually take this side with a lot more confidence.
Oh, that was almost a little bit of that continued game of who can get that early bite, this time potentially onto the Jackal, but they get to live, as does Leon, who I think very quickly realized his number might have been caught. And sneaky stealing of a Capcan drone, buried amongst the reeds. Gets 2. As the setup is still long, deep underway, we'll hear that fun audio of something being stolen, but not quite sure what as of yet.
Could be a lot. Could be a default cam, you know, like, or the Capcan traps or anything else that is around that area. But surely you must have been called out, and you know, especially if you're Capcan, you gotta make sure that people are aware of where your Capcan traps are. Because last thing you want is a teammate to walk through hacked Capcan traps, especially when you're in a hurry to get back towards the site. As Leighton pushes himself onto the balcony, Packbull's coming to assist. Drones to come out. But there is that big opening in that wall that they're trying to challenge through. A little bit of damage done onto Leighton. Now, the Goo Mine's doing a little bit more of that as well. Croc will go down. Look at this Kanta that just walked in from Ivy.
Yeah, Kanta gets the lockdown there, gets some control over blue stairs, and well, it doesn't last very long. Freck was there to instantly respond from games, retakes the territory. It bought them about 20 seconds worth of damage, and that was what was stolen. Drops the camera. Now Leon on the other side of the wall, where he was able to pull off a quad kill in the previous round. Leighton wants to drive their up. Slightly different angle of approach as they did last time. They seem to try and force their way through, but with that being locked, the position's still quite awkward. You've only really got Piano, unless you wiggle and widen yourself on towards the balcony or out the other side. They're still trying to steal stuff from underneath. Doesn't really seem to be any presence there. Spraying against... Oh, I'm not entirely sure if they know what they're spraying against here. Leon's hoping to get a catch on someone or something, but Freck has him watched.
Gumine's been very effective so far against the Blitz, but still alive. As Deepak gets one, instantly leans back in. Leighton taking tons of damage from the Gumines, forced to pull it out now as he goes for the plant. 30 seconds in a 2v3 situation. The Nitrocell might equalize it, but it does not. Instead, they have to go for the fight outside.
They scream up towards the Blitz. He's in the 1 versus 1 in the site and rotate round. There it is. Jax with the double now. With Dodo out on the back end of the balcony. He's in this engagement. He stretches it out. This is one that he can win out. The frustrations of hitting his desk before. Picked back up here. He's still got that performance. He's still got that distance he can go.
5-5 suddenly after Fnatic looked like they were in a great position to find the first opportunity to secure a point at least. It can now be Wylde instead that finds it.
So,
and again, mentioning Fnatic, they've played 4 games so far in these past 5 play days. This is their 5th. That means they have had their break day already, but they're currently at the bottom of the leaderboard. Now, so they only need 2 points to equalize with Virtus Pro, but that's still a win.
Earlier, we had our TAC timeout. Now we've got our second TAC timeout. It was a technical timeout earlier on in the half game that changed the pace. The TAC timeout changed the pace again. Will it happen for a 3rd time? As that is what we are currently in from the side of Fnatic. Stopping the game of 5 apiece. Now they netted something decent before, and as you can see, Packbull, both teams have the ability to talk here. Be something to push it over the edge.
Where will the defense be holding up after Master Bedroom just fallen? Basement, it seems to be, which, I mean, it came down to a bunch of, you know, a quick push that eventually resulted into a plant after Dodo tried to be in that 1v1 situation, 1v2 even. Starks instead winning that one out. But a very important round, as points are quite literally won and lost by just a single one.
We've almost seen every single regulation round today.
Yeah, it's great.
There's one round that we didn't get, which was Secret versus BDS. Every other game, it's got 7-5. This one might even go even further.
It definitely seems like it could. Like this, if there's any game that was going to go to overtime, I think this is the one, especially with how back and forth they've been. Leon on the clash, though, that is going to be definitely one way to slow them down if they wanted to go quick again.
Well, they've got another direct route here. They're not going to play around with the Maverick this time. Instead, get the breach open, make the angle difficult. There's nothing to stop it. Outside of maybe potentially a mute jammers on the back end, but it's not really the game you fully send yourself into. Sucks. a loose threat that could be controlled by the Nomad. The same to be said of Kanto, who might be the next port of call for Fnatic's approach here. He's in the more expected position, and I think he realizes it so much so that he's not going to sit around. If he gives them not a free body, but an easier engagement for the team to close down on, it'll really start them off with the back foot. They have to try and get some surprise, some clarity in their motion.
Sarks has been started to slow down a little bit more. Layton still 14 on 6 currently. Doing well for Wylde. And Fnatic, they just need to find that I was almost going to say opening, but they found that in the last 2 rounds. Just weren't able to convert it into that round. They just need to find that stability now. The opening and being able to just pull it in close. Sarks doesn't know how close he is to someone, but he gets the opening this time around. Knows about one on the window, but he's also being pushed from the back of Solarium. That is going to be his demise. Layton will find him in response. It's a one-on-one trade. And you lose the gridlock, which is great for stopping any of these flanks, but you also lose the Capcan, which could be a C4. Now, looking at where the rest of these players are on the side of Fnatic, I don't think a flank will happen at any point. So, the gridlock lost. It's painful, but not the worst case in the world.
They got the Nomad as well. They still have the double down on that game, but most importantly, they got Sarks. They got that player that's been so terrific in those engagements. Know that Kanto's close. They roll in the shotgun to be even closer. The pressure comes down. Snowmobile stares itself. The Clash moves up into the position. Freck gets 1. The pings are across it. Freck gets 2 and just keeps driving. There's Deepek making his way around on the back. He couldn't quite get the comfort, and Wylde, driven behind Freck, find a fantastic explosion there on towards the site itself, and they just had all focus on blue, and fair enough, everybody's dying there. However, they got themselves into a plant position in the same moment, in the same breath, and now they find themselves sitting on 3 points. I said it before, there's a chance of Fnatic being able to jump out of the death zone. That is gone now. They would find themselves level with Virtus Pro if they won in overtime, and they don't have that. It's the head-to-head of the rounds. If Wylde get the 3 points now, they only jump up 1, but they leap over Secret and importantly keep the pace with the team that's on the up and up. You want to make sure that whilst Wolves were on a day that they had to sit and wait, you're still looking towards those top 2 spots. You're still looking towards those SI points that are more precious to Wylde than any other team, as the only team in EUL to currently have 0.
A fun fact to mention as well is that in round 9, Frack was 1 in 8. And now he's 7 on 9, 2 rounds later. Really started to show up now together with Layton. Of course, he had his own little segment before that was done by Alphama and Fresh. But he died a lot due to like trying to go for spawn peaks in the first half when he was playing on defense. I think twice or 3 times he was shut down looking out a window, not being able to find anything in the results. But now when he's on attack, he's leading the pace, he's setting his own charge, and well, finding 6 kills in these last 2 rounds, together with Layton still picking up some great kills, and Dodo, of course, coming in with the clutches. Allows Wylde to pick up at least a point, but looking for 3 now.
Well, another technical pause this late on, and so far, after tactical pauses, Wylde at 100% success rate after both. The technical pause, Fnatic got a flawless. Will we see our first overtime of the day? Will we see our first little bit of pressure put back on? Will we see our first half points? That's down to these 2 teams. Drama, drama, drama.
The music definitely helps.
Does. Raises my anxieties.
You know, I said about Layton after round 2 that he could be on for like a game in the high 10s or 20s if this goes, you know, all the way. He's on 16 now. Like I mean, is that high 10s yet, or do we say 17 or 18 is high 10s?
I don't know if I would ever.
16 count?
I would say high teens.
Okay, well, high teens in that case.
It's like, you know, 18, 17.
Yeah. Either way.
High tens is
He's
like a
getting
weird
close. And
high
if this
five.
goes to overtime, he definitely has the opportunity to break through 20 there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you know, not a million miles away. It's the thing about how this game has sort of paced itself as well is Leighton, huge opener, bit of a slowdown, huge finish, right? And obviously, as you said, we're starting to get more of the rest of the roster show up, but they are, I think, sort of blow for blow comparatively, generally a step behind their opponents right now. Packbull and Crocs, they're -6, -5 on the KD. Freck's under. The lowest is Kanto, -3. Otherwise, apart from Deepak, the rest of the players are all positive. So it's a bit of a blow here for Fnatic that there is just Leighton, who is so standout, has been the difference maker, and then in the most recent 2 rounds, Freck has stepped into that position.
Yeah, and decided to just casually drop 6 kills after he's dropped 1 for the rest of the game.
Perfect time. If
I think
you're a
that's
Wylde
it,
fan.
right? Like, it's like you're finding yourself at a position where you're about to be losing points in this game. You need to step up at that point. That's why they call it the tactical timeout. And, you know, they win that one. And then afterwards, you have the huge 2 rounds to come through to where you're now on map per match point for 3 points. And all these points are so hugely important to Wylde, considering how their stage 1 went. Like, they'll take anything, of course, but they want to be, like, competing for that major spot as well. 6 Invitational, that is probably not likely unless they make, like, an amazing run at the major and they, well, first of all, qualify for the major and make an amazing run. But just that Montreal major, that is their goal, right? Like, that's the goal of any of these teams that are playing here. As we wait for what could potentially be the last round of tonight.
Deepak, deep in thought.
Yeah.
What's he thinking about, Hap?
What could he be thinking about? Probably the game, to be honest.
Oh.
I don't know if Deepak eats a lot of stroopwafels.
If I was Dutch, it would be all that I ate.
See, the thing is, they are amazing. They're very delicious, but it's also pure sugar.
Yeah. What's wrong here?
I think if you eat like 3 or 4 stroopwafels, you're on like your calories a day. So it's like you could live on a diet of stroopwafels.
Yeah,
if you want to.
For like bulking season.
I think you want to have protein in that case rather than sugar.
Okay.
I don't know.
That explains why I'm so unhealthy.
Maybe we should ask Tim how we bulk. What do we eat?
Tim is our version of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
He definitely is.
I've never seen them in the same room.
No, haven't either.
I don't think any. You know.
Maybe you should invite.
I'm not saying they're the same person, but also I've never seen them in the same room. So I don't think anyone has.
We should invite Mr. The Rock to the next event. Tim works. I know his last name's Johnson. Don't worry.
No.
No.
I know you know. Mr. The Rock.
Yeah, Mr. The Rock.
We'll hopefully be back in soon. Obviously, we've had a bit of a long play day. It's a very long day. You can see the exhaustion on the players.
Yeah.
Some of these places, it's 10 past 11. That's late.
It could even be later. If you're Kanto, I think the Finns are like an hour later. So it's like 12:10 already.
Kanto, I think, is a game as our kind of...
He's playing in a different day than the rest of us now.
Yeah, I think...
That's how dedicated he is.
That's how dedicated.
Jags as well, actually. He's also Finnish.
Yeah, also Finnish. Jags and Kanto playing in the future. Packbull
playing fantastic.
I like how it just cut away. It's like I was going to make a joke, but because it just got to Packball and instead of the word Packball, it's just Packball. Okay, next, Leighton. Are those birthday balloons in the background of Dodo's?
Could be.
Did he have a birthday recently?
That looks like 18.
If you did, happy
I could be
birthday,
wrong.
Dodo. I'm going to have a look on Wikipedia.
I just clicked on his Wikipedia profile here to see.
Oh, really?
It doesn't state.
Ah. If you had a birthday
So-
recently, happy birthday, Dodo.
Now, of course, the players cannot talk. Luckily, we can. Otherwise, it would be a very boring stream during these technical pauses.
The only info we have right now is this conversation about a rehost that we can feed you for now. So, whatever the problem is,
I'll have that.
Yeah, well, production prefers me.
It's even news for me.
Packball.
Yeah.
I just want them to cut away.
Yeah,
I just
you're
only want
definitely
whenever we
hearing
see
someone
Packball, I
laughing.
just want to say Packball and then just move on now. That's the bit. That's the.
Just waiting again until it comes by.
For
those of you that just tuned in, because
we are
you're not from Europe, I guess.
as deep in as possible to this game. We are 6.
I mean, it could be 7-7.
Yeah, it could be. But we are as deep into this game as possible. It's 6-5 to the favor of
Packball.
Wylde currently. Packball. Deepak chilling.
But yeah, Wylde have match point. Won 3 rounds in a row now. And they're looking to lock it off. And I can only imagine that, you know, when you're Fnatic right now, you just want to find a response, but you just have to wait until this tech pause is over until you can finally discuss it. So, like, everybody's coming up with ideas now, probably, on how to stop this issue that has arisen in Wylde. And the last round didn't even have shields in it, because they struggle with the Blitz, they struggle with the Monty.
Yeah, there was the doubling down of shields. Obviously, we've had some shield bans throughout all of this as well. And I also saw an F1 car in the back of Dodo's. I'm just analyzing their rooms now. Is that Ferrari back there? Opposed to
That's
an
a
F1
Ferrari. Yeah, that's, I think,
classic.
2005.
Great year. Do you know what else is a great year? Well,
2001
this
maybe.
one, as we take a quick break before we're back, we'll come right back in with the lobby. Please don't go anywhere. We should be back very shortly.
It's total calamity, total mayhem inside of the server. Out of nowhere, they find their round back into their favor.
Holding up for the plunder!
Bom dia, Sao Paulo! You have waited 5 long years.
And I think he might just find it!
For Siege to come back to Brazil. Now, the Ginásio do Ibirapuera is the home to the Hammer as we get set to write the next chapter in R6 Esports history. This is the 6th Invitational 2024. Vamos para Barulho! Virtus Pro versus W7M.
To tail can be told. They continue to push, they continue to seek, and they charge into the finals of Six Invitational 2024.
Grand final of the Six Invitational 2024 starts right now. Face Clan, W7M, vamos fazer barulho!
And it's all falling apart for W7M once again, but it is happening for FaZe! One round away from cementing themselves as world champions. From 6-1 down. Can W7M respond? You wanted to fight him, and he fights you! God, he made it! We cannot, we know we can't. It's a red tide, he can't finish it! He's own brother! Infinite overtime! It's upon us! And we get it! We get it! This is how legends are created! Is this the moment where we can crown a new champion, a new dynasty to be created? And yes we will! Yes we will! W7s! They cement themselves as one of the greatest of all time!
Well, we are back. Thank you for bearing with us. We just wanted to make sure that we could get that all set up. The lobby is ripped and ready to go in just a moment, Hap. Just a moment, Hap. Well, maybe Hap is not ripped and raring and ready to go. So, I'll otherwise keep going. We are staring down the precipice. It is what, 6-5 here and close to midnight across the board. They are so close, Wylde, to getting themselves 3 points secured. So close to getting themselves pushed over this final bit of a distance and difference, and so close to eyeing down this success story here. Fnatic, they were able to find success after the last tag timeout. Let's see where they can go from this point onwards. All right, so at this point, maybe I'm not the only one with the tech problems. They're just going to try and get Hat back in. I will try and carry this on as late as I can. Fnatic, as I said before, they found success last time after
10 seconds to go.
the previous tag timeout. At this point, you know, with the conversations that have happened before on the previous, they'll be able to drive forward now. What can Wylde do? Can they get themselves an early lead? They've got the break, they've got the Ying, they've got all of this chance at a choice at driving themselves through here. And Hapai here is returned.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you at the start. I saw the game, but didn't really hear anything. So, but I'm back now, so
it's fine. You need to eat more stroop waffles for the sugar.
Ah, that might be it. Stroop waffles. Anyway, important round. Again, points or no points is what is on the table here for Fnatic. They've already had some scruffy games. It's not going to be able anymore to lock this one off for full 3. Whereas Wylde, however, if they manage to continue the momentum they've been building before they had the technical pause and the rehost, well, that could be the full 3 on board. A lot of information being gathered. Capcan traps being spotted out. There is no Bravo to hack them. The Candelas are being prepared out here. seems like they just want to go for a West main push. Like, it's very, very heavily stacked towards that side.
I mean, there's almost a good possibility of taking them a bit by surprise there. You can see Freck is ready to hop in. There's the blinds and there's the motion. Freck and Croc either side. Dodo does get caught out there by Deepek. There's Starks popping up and getting one. The C4 doesn't quite get the depth to connect with the next, but they do lose 2 players. The rest get themselves a little bit more help. Maybe weren't as much of a surprise force as they thought. Wylde, they took a risk, a punch, a chance, and an opportunity. A little bit of late night. Maybe they're a little bit sleepy siege, but unfortunately, Fnatic were wired in, wide awake, and wide-eyed and ready for this. It's not over yet. When you still have Leighton on the board with the game that he's been having, he is way more than a threat than probably anyone else out of the 10 players. But at this point, sat waiting, the slow crawl round. There's the first for Freck. Gets Leon by surprise. There is Sarks, though, getting that pop-up and revenge. And well, if anyone was going to have the answer, there he is.
Deepek very close to being found here by Packbull. But Wylde is just holding off on some of the angles right now. Gamble didn't pay off to go for West May. Might still find at least a kill here. Leighton brings it back to a 3-on-2. It's still winnable, but he's very low on HP. The diffuser is also down and needs to be recovered. Not sure if it's actually being guarded actively or not. Also not spotting out. Deepek right behind the counter out here. So that's a bit of information that will be lost as the jump in comes into West Main. Packbull shot in the side. Oh, is Deepek and Kento both for the kill.
Yeah, there it was, missing out the moment there on Deepek, hoping they could try and pop in, but it was in a great position, and we are in our first overtime of the day, the last game of the day, of course it would be, but Fnatic still have a chance here to pull themselves another win, pull themselves 2 points, wouldn't get them out of the bottom of the board, out of the sort of danger zone at this point, but it would go a little bit further in towards developing their hopes of progressing. When you're obviously looking at the games they have up ahead. The VP is one of them who they may potentially be level with, but as I said, the round difference I don't think would work out in their favor. So they'd still fall below them. Then you've got Secret as a possibility on the up and up, ending with BDS. Sort of shows the importance of getting the 2 points from this game.
Fnatic able to break that momentum. Now onto the defense, instantly to Bar Gaming. We've seen quite some extensive holds here. Kento able to hold on to Library, especially for a very long time, just by himself. It's quite logical to go back here, as he's preparing to win though. Oh, trying to go for a bit of a sneaky spawn peek out there. He's not going to be hitting anything. It's very risky to do it at this time in the actual game though, because you don't want to be losing someone that early on, especially with like the regen ability of having the keeper barriers just spawn throughout the round. But all goes well for now.
Ooh, Starks playing a very dangerous game here. They weren't droned, but didn't want to let the drone roll in and see anything further. There is Crocs. It's not too far away from it. Now Fnatic continuing their role here on towards the side of defense. They've got a bit of momentum from the round before. As I said before, it seems like when they're coming on the back of a tech timeout, they have a little bit more energy than the conversational attitude. Both tacks have both been used. Wylde cannot stop the game for a conversation, but they can stop Kanto on the top of the rafters.
Frank was on a bit of a resurgence throughout that. Deepek being fully fleshed out there. Starks in a bit of a gunfight down below. Croc trying to send some rounds his way. He's being checked by the E1D to know where he is. However, now, where is he? Well, that's a big question. Packbull will find Deepek, however. That's an opening. A second one for the side of Wylde in this round.
Ooh, a trade out. Leighton and Jakes find each other, but they're around the rosies, and Starks somehow gets the kill. They had the pings on him. They knew where he was, but now he's got to try and find out where everyone else is. The kit has found its way in towards the site, and the plant is being confirmed by Packbull. They're not wasting around waiting to find out. The fight is Starks to take. But a post plant and almost opted to go all the way up, but instead believes he can try and drive his way through the site itself. He's tucked on the kit. He's baiting the motion for Packbull. He's got to react. They're holding and waiting. There it is, and Packbull gets it. Very well played there by Sharks. Held it for as long as he could, but Packbull pushes the team once again, one round away from a win.
And it's just for the extra point now. It would not really move them anywhere on the table, just right behind Team Secret, but at least it puts the point difference in between, well, themselves, Virtus Pro, but also ENCE and ITB. So it's still a very valuable round. It just puts the almost game extra between themselves. And it was a good round for the side of Wylde. Everybody was basically on. They managed to, well, they found out, you know, Sarks was around on the opposite side of the map, but that's fine. Like, you can just take the side at that point, especially when they were in that 2v3 situation. The last anchor dies, instantly go for that plant and just hold back the ways that he can come back from, like rotate back to the side too. Some good calls were made there. And 6-7 is among us yet again. As you mentioned, another opportunity for Wylde to look at this game. And the rookies,
5 seconds left before
whilst they might have not had all equal games, considering Leighton is definitely standing above the rest of them. But they're definitely surprising here in the European League so far.
Can Fnatic, once again on the back foot, get themselves drawn back in? Can they find some of that energy from the opening half of the game where both teams have matched each other's pace, but it's been a long time since they've been driving on their attack, a long time since they've been trying to drive the pace. Kanto gets Dodo. The long watch from the back of the balcony has eyes all the way through the heart of the hold. Leighton is still in a bit of a power position with Freck offering some support on his shoulder. He's feeling a bit spicy, but the drone stops that. I was going to say, doesn't actually. He decides to double dip. He's not punished for it. Croc in the meantime, down in the basement, waiting for a fight to potentially come up.
I expected him to not go as wide, especially with Kento potentially still being around on the balcony. A little misstep and you find yourself picked up. I think he rotated off in the meantime, though. Starks has moved over towards the snowmobile garage. Might actually go and take that from the ground floor. No, it's actually Jags that does so. Gets himself inside. Freck holding off on the balcony window. Kanto is actually still inside. Grenades are being tossed in as well. So a lot of utilities just being expended right now with 90 seconds left. But they do need to get that top floor under control. And so far, just not enough has been done yet for the Fnatic side of things to do so. So they might have to go to a plan B.
Gets themselves the look through across towards the prep line. But with Leighton in this position above the hatch, it's actually where he was able to get a decent couple of kills before. The step into the warden is caught off. Kanto just saw enough for the rotating player to predict the motions. Leighton is looking for an engagement. They know the impact and the power that they can have, but they are just not able to get their teeth stuck into a fight, appearing a couple of paces too late. He doesn't want to give them a free engagement, but he doesn't want to give them an unpunished trade, and so far, they've just not handed it to him. There's Deepek getting Packbull. There is one step closer to all the way as the plant gets confirmed. With 40 seconds left, a 3 versus 1 post plant at this point. Croc has a lot to do, but pretty confident we'll be seeing every single round in this, and there it is, all the way.
That was definitely too much for Croc there to do all on his own. I mean, there was 30 seconds left. He was down on half HP. Last members were all kind of spread out, and the plant was in a default position, so easily held by the attackers, especially with such a numbers advantage. Well, luckily, you don't lose any extra points if this goes all the way to 15, which it just did. But it is just an anyone's game now. He will take that victory. Is it going to be another overtime victory for Fnatic? Or is it going to be Wylde? That after those 3 rounds in a row surely seemed like they were having that momentum, and then the technical pause happened.
Now, who can be the one that sets this apart? We have seen this site go both ways. We've seen the pressure come from both teams. We've seen huge performances, but it all ends here. One of these runs has to come to an end. Now, both of them have secured themselves a point. I think that might secure ITB as being at the bottom of the EUL leaderboard from the end of today and the end of our Super Week. Can Fnatic jump one more team? Can they get a little bit further along? Because they could, if they get 2 from this, jump Ents as well, be knocking on the door of salvation. Desperately needed in the same stroke. Wylde, it wouldn't leapfrog anyone at this point, but the closer they can stay to Secret on the up and up, the closer they can stay to Wolves, creates a big divide of 5 to Virtus Pro up towards 9 of Wylde between 5th and 6th.
And again, if you stay top 6, the major dream is alive as you do get the opportunity to go to playoffs where you go into the best of 3s rather than the best of 1s, and it's just, again, a reset battlefield. Our Spirit Heroes are coming in this final round to see if there's any utility. There's plenty. There's barbed wire. There's castle barricades. They have plenty to choose from to open up, but for now, it's just barbed wire to make sure that if the push comes in from the library side, that they will not be hindered by that wire. Not slowed down, not giving away the information. Those castle barricades, they might be able to just stay shut. They're not really that important for now, at least, as Leighton tried to lay into the door out there and almost managed to take a head home.
Who will get that first taste of their opponent? A bit of a reveal around the top of Ivy, but nobody's there to act and operate on the back of it. And as the time gets thinner and thinner, you can see the loose players start to tempt themselves with getting closer back into sight. Deepak wants to be revealed at the last possible minute, and he has a very deep 2-story angle, hoping for pressure to come in. The swing is there, the impact, and Impactless doesn't quite get rid of the detonation. There's still a watch down below, still hoping. But at what point are you just keeping yourself out of the equation here?
Well, if they do jump through the window, he's able to stop any diffuser from getting in. Leighton's still very close. It would be a huge pick if they go for it, as Kento goes aggressive on the window on Piano, but they're all on Ivy stacked up. They must be coming at any second as Leon will run out and find the first kill.
Gets the second as well, forced by a grenade, and Dodo operates on the back of it, moves in towards Piano, but gets cut down. Sox is there, and Freck is all that's left here of Wylde, not finding another overtime loss. He's caught out either side, 20 seconds, Fnatic. They're able to secure a win, a huge fight back for the embattled roster that has done everything. And why always me indeed, Sucks, as they're able to get themselves there to another win, up to 7th place. Who reads lips?
I was gonna say, do you read lips? Because I definitely struggle with that one, but a great round from Fnatic there in the end. After a long game, we'll be taking home the 2 points. And again, with that, they'll no longer be at the bottom of the standings at this point. They'll slowly start creeping back up. But of course, that top 6 position is where you want to be. Wylde are currently in that, you know, they still extend themselves with a point, but would have preferred more.
As I said it at the time, Wylde, if they were able to win that overtime, they would have had a technical 2-game buffer to anyone behind them trying to chase. Now, they are less than a full game away from where Fnatic sit. But that is enough from you and I. As it sounds, my voice is gone anyway. So let's throw it over to Milos and the gang.
I mean, I can never get enough of you two. And here we are at the end of our playday. Fnatic drag it across the line. Overtime, max overtime, Des. That's how it always goes, too. I can never unhear Tim in my head in that situation. Gentlemen, we got it. It's done.
Did anybody else here think that this playday was never going to end?
It was.
I thought we were just going to stay here until the Montreal Major, but alas, we finally have it done. Fnatic get it over the line in the 15th round.
Again. And that's the biggest problem with me, is that I feel for these guys, because they didn't play bad. I don't think they did. I think actually both teams I think in the opposite way to where Virtus.pro and Ants played, and it felt like both teams really struggled hard, and it was a game of who plays the least worst would win. I think both of these teams played a pretty decent chalet, and actually both deserved the win, and in the end that's why it was so close, and all the way till the end it was very close onto that last round. Overall, Jack, I have to say, I'm a bit sad for Fnatic because they always get into these situations where it's always so close and eventually get to the point.
It's going to be another one, you know, when we end up speaking to them, it's going to be another one where they're going to be happy that they won. They are now on a 2-win streak. They have now got points out of the last 3 games, but they know that that could have been 9 points from the last 3 games, and it's not going to be, it's going to be 5. That's, you know, it's something, but it's not something that they obviously wanted. I think in the context of this game, there was how many? Let's just count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rounds out of the 15 where an individual player got a 3K or more. So what that tells me is that both teams were quite evenly matched, and the key differential in 9 of the 15 rounds was whether one player could have a pop-off moment or not. Sarks was excellent on the entry. Leon had a couple of big individual moments, especially on that Melusi up on the top floor. We saw Freck go massive in 2 rounds for Wylde to get them back to overtime. In isolation, this was one of the most entertaining chalets I've actually seen in a long, long time.
And when you see in a BO1, one player with 20 kills and another one with 18, 48 kills for 2 players across a single BO1, that's completely crazy. It was such a big bloodbath, and again, it tells you just how close this league is getting, because despite Ants all the way at the bottom, I think we're getting really, really close in this middle of the pack, and they're all fighting to get that playoff spot right now.
And I will say, even though Kanto is at the bottom of Fnatic there on the scoreboard, he got some incredibly important kills much later in this matchup that enabled Fnatic to get back in the saddle, Jack.
Yeah, he opened up Fnatic's very final attack, didn't he, with that rappel onto the office balcony there, you know. Kanto, we was talking about it actually, he's got to play in a position where he's got to be confident even when he's not playing well. So it was nice to see that even in overtime, he was sticking to that principle.
And factually, you could see it. The guy got involved out of 12 rounds. He got involved in 5 entry engagements. Won 3 of them and lost 2. Still a decent trade, but that's what we expect on this guy. And you saw, when you think about this game right now, when we go back to the individuals, we should probably focus on 2 guys.
Yeah.
I think it has to be Starks and Leighton.
Yeah.
These 2 guys were absolutely crazy on both sides and had very different roles. I think if you look at Sarks, right, he's been playing a little bit more, I wouldn't say that entry goal, but at least a flexible role when he can get creative and get frag heavy. And that's, I just want to tell you guys, it's been 3 matches in a row that Sarks drops 15, 16 or 17 kills. It's absolutely crazy, and he's such a good pickup right now, and he for sure is part of the stars of tomorrow. Now you look at Leighton, we already highlighted him the play day before. We already see him as the in-game leader that brought Wylde together with tons of new prospects from Tier 2, led that team with a new vision. But I want to pay attention to this, guys. 18 kills, 9 deaths, 2 KD ratio, playing Blitz as a main operator in attack, and a Zami. How do you do this? You lead a team, you play utility-based operators, you play a shield, and you play anchor, and you still drop double digits with a 2 KD? It's completely crazy from Leighton. Honestly, this new season is revealing more and more of new talents from Europe, and I'm behind it, man. I love it.
Yeah, I'm very excited always to see kind of those upcoming stars, right? The rising stars, as we had talked about them and as you guys talked about, multiple of them, and I'm sure more to come on all of the up-and-comers here in EU League. However, we have a chat with our victors. Fnatic ready to go, and who else but Leon Gods himself? And good God, you really had to play us today again, really taking it all the way to max OT. Why? What happened there?
Because we're trolling, man. It's pissing me off. There are no better words other than that. I'm literally, I don't even know how many times we had a game plan going into these defenses, yeah? It went perfectly the first 2 rounds, the next 3 rounds, troll. Trying to do all these different plays individually, fucking pushing 1 by 1 and trying to flank and stuff. That's not what we said to do. And these guys are doing it. So, during that tech pause, like as soon as we were going into it, I went, guys, listen, just wake up. Stop trying to flank. Stop trying to do all this random stuff. We're going to just go for it, like play together as a team. Let them make the plays. We're going to beat them every day of the week because we can win those gunfights one-on-one. And that's what we did, which finally got us like 2 points. But again, should have been a 3-pointer. Like Fresh said, like, it's troll after troll. But at least we're getting the wins instead of losing.
That's what I was just about to ask you, Leon. At least you're winning. You're getting used to these interviews, aren't you? What do you think it is? So just to explore that a little more, that's 8 clutches in 3 games that you've lost.
I'll tell you what, like obviously like it looks bad from an outside perspective, yeah, but I genuinely do think it just comes down to like we're very new as a team. Like, I know a lot of people in the back think, oh, they've had loads of time together to do this and that. I promise you, we have not. We have not had enough time together as a team to make sure we get these, like, the cohesion and the team play and the coordination, communication all going together right now. A lot of the time it is me just trying to, like, make sure we're all level-headed during those rounds, but currently trying to push everyone to start talking more, which helped us out a lot in those rounds in this game as well. But yeah, it just comes down, like I said, like, new team, and we're just missing up on comms and stuff, just because that's just what new teams do. Like, you know, you can't be perfect.
You still did have a couple of good rounds. Sarks and Deepak managed to pull one out on the kitchen side. So just on Sarks, he's had another great game. What are you feeding him?
He's just, I don't know what he's feeding him. I think it's just in the background. We always hear trumpets or like some sort of music instrument is going on in the background when we're scribbling and stuff. And I think that's what really powers him and us, because it's just the funniest thing ever. Like, it'll just be dead quiet, and all of a sudden you hear the trumpet going in the background. It's just so funny. I don't know what he's doing in his house, but I don't know what he's feeding himself either. But
hey, you're the harmonica guy.
I've got another thing as well. I can't remember what the actual name is, but it's coming out next week. Promise that. It's downstairs in the garage.
Honestly, between Panari, bless his heart, back in the days, between
I have a flute as well. So
yeah, so there you go. You got flute, harmonica. We had guitars on. I had a trumpet once. I was playing with Chowder. Like, there's a lot of talent here in Siege, and it definitely showed today in the server specifically for you. Now, look, I really want to ask you about this, because I mean, this is coming out soon, but like, we had a chat yesterday, a very, very long one together. And I want to see, for you, as IGL, this team, as you yourself are saying, you did not have much time to work together to get to where we are today. Do you feel that this Super Week has helped you improve and get to the lessons that you wanted to learn?
Well, for us, it was a regular week because we had a day off in between. But that being said, I do think, like, these 2 wins for us mentally and everything like that is really going to start pushing us to just be better and start realizing how good we actually are. Like, I think, like I said, first 2 play days, I think we were just scared because, it's been a while since, like, most of us have won anything. We've had really 4 years together. And it's just about getting back into that mindset. And I think everyone's really wanting to prove everyone wrong, like, this time around. I really push for that stuff. And I think it's just showing in our gameplay. Like, I mean, yeah, it might not be, like, absolute best at the moment, or it might not be, it looks like a bit sloppy, but it's getting there. Like we're saying, you're seeing Starks like dropping back to back like 15 plus kills. It's just ridiculous.
Leon, it's been an absolute pleasure again to have you here on the interview. Congratulations once more on the win. That's Fnatic and Max OT taking 2 points from our final matchup of the day. We'll let you go, get some rest, unwind after this game. Right now. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Go unwind, maybe with a bit of Renki to kind of let it out of your system.
Can't wait for that.
Exactly. And then we'll talk about all of this for next week. Well, again, a pleasure. I'll see you then.
As always, thank you very much.
Well, there it is, Jack, our final game.
I love Leon interviews.
Honestly, always, there's obviously we love chatting with the players and picking their brains, but there are some that are just so much fun to have a chat
and
with.
Brutally honest as well.
Yeah,
brutally
Joystick being one of them.
Yeah, Doki as well.
Yeah, it's just you kind of sit down, have a drink with them, and just talk about Siege, the game that we all love in here, and kind of pinch those details. However, one detail we cannot leave out is that there are still some tickets left for the Montreal Major, which is what Leon and all the other players are playing for to qualify here in EUL. So if you haven't grabbed yours, get hyped, get excited, grab it, and we can want to see you in Montreal.